Take a ticker. Ba-da-ba-dee, da-da-ba-da, da-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da, ba, ba-ba-da-ka-ba-ka-da, ba-da-ka-da, ba-ba-bum-bum. Greetings, salutations. All right, let's see if I can find something to play in the background that won't get me banned on everywhere. I was gonna play that, but because in a minute I am going to play us a little music to start off with. Because, somebody's got to do it. It was a big, big world only for me. Greetings, salutations. I'm mad at first. I'm mad. Don't be mad. What? All right, let's see. I feel in the mood. I feel in the mood for something explicit. Hmm. Really young Merc. Really young Merc. We're gonna do the. We're gonna do the. What we gonna do? What we gonna do, Tristan Nathan? What do you? I feel like feeling. uh, let's try this. Greetings, salutations. Welcome. It's that time. I'm that person, and you're listening to Conversations with TNathan. And the introduction music, Little Young Merc Fire.
Come up, I couldn't even get a chance. And they thought I was playing. And they thought I was playing. Yeah. When I was on the come up, I couldn't even get a chance. I told them I was gonna be next, and they thought I was playing. They ain't gonna understand till they see me on the gram. Walk in they favorite store and blow up about a couple bands. See me on the come up, they see me on the come up. Wait till they buy that magazine and see me on the come up.
Know what time it is.
They see me on the come up. Wait till they buy that magazine and see me on the cover. Remember the first time I spit, everybody was gapping. I started perfecting my craft and these niggas was napping. I told them I was gonna be next and they thought I was capping. And now they see me glowing
So
up,
you know
they
what
like
time
this
it
nigga
is.
rapping. It's crazy how when I got better, niggas started slacking. When I was asking for support, niggas was funny acting. So now I'm bougie on my flash shit, I feel like Aladdin. You hit me for a feature, had a bread to make it happen. They set a limit, tell these labels I'm a pot of gold. Cause
They
just
at
like
work.
Cody Parkey, they fucking up all the goals. I'm putting niggas on their feet like I was Dr. Shows. If you bring nothing to the table, then it's adios. Feeling dapper, whipping shit up just like I was mixing batter. Different platter, upgraded from the shit to the fecal matter. Get the camera, can't wait to see you niggas get even madder. Keep a Glock with an extra clip and an extended ladder. When I was on the come up, I couldn't even get a chance. I told them I was gonna be next and they thought I was playing. They ain't gonna understand till they see me on the gram. Walk in they favorite store and blow about a couple bands. See me on the come up, they see me on the come up. Wait till they buy that magazine and see me on the cover. See me on the come up, they see me on the come up. Wait till they buy that magazine and see me on the cover. This shit raw to whoever involved. I kill them like Jigsaw. I swear you niggas gon' get so tired of seeing
Music. We can't even listen to music. Who called you? Who called you a dude, Reese? Who called you a dude? What's up? I can't even get to the opening. And people in here fucking up already. Okay. All right. Well, let's just keep it. Let's make sure we respect everybody's gender assignment. It's not about where you're from. It's about who they are. And in this live, we take that into account. Okay. Oh my goodness. This is why I started not to go live tonight. I wasn't in the mood. I wasn't in the mood. Just wanted to come on live, talk about some political issues, and then take my black ass to reading my book. Should have stayed reading my book, because you all are not gonna let me be great. You all not gonna let me just come in here and listen to music. You're gonna come in here with bullshit. The conversation is over, Scar. She said, if my sister is not a dude, I don't care where you come from, but I know where you're going to go if you keep it up. Listen, she says she's not a dude. That's not the correct reference to her. Yes, don't assume. All right, now can we get past this so I can get back to so I can get to what we do? Welcome, welcome. My name is TNathan, and this is my program. You oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, got caught up. Did I start? Yeah, I started. Welcome, GCPR. Had to wait till I started GCPR. I think YouTube is up and running. And I am T Nathan. And tonight, as in every night, Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, Conversations with T Nathan, where we talk about a lot of things, but we talk about them from a particularly black perspective. And we talk about them from a perspective that is unapologetic and intellectual. And at times, we can break it down and do anything you any way you want to do it. If you feel like you need to do it some other way, we're about all that. All right, all good, bro. He apologized. Thank you for the apology. All right, we're moving on. All right, we're moving on. So, welcome to the show. It is T Nathan, and listen, I want you all to, like I say, big shout out to Lombard in New York, who won the Democratic primary for governor. He's a Democratic for mayor. Governor is around the corner. But for mayor, the mayor of the largest city in America, he won the Democratic primary. He will be facing off against the Republican light that was y'all elected as a Democrat, that he showed his true colors, um, Eric Adams, and whoever the Republican candidate is for that office. Like I said, big win. Shout out to all of the young people who came out, supported, and showed them. And already the racism has shown its ugly head, and not only the Democratic Party, I mean the Republican Party, but in the Democratic Party also. And I'm also looking at how Democratic leadership is hedging their bets about endorsing him. My plan for the primary is to burn all of them out of office. So I'm just going to sit back and wait, though. And I'm watching the people who say, they have plans. I'm seeing what their plans in because New York's Democratic nominee for mayor is part of the plan. I feel that, and the racism starts. This is Stephen Miller. If you know Miller, he's the right hand to Trump. He's in the White House. He has so many titles I can't even name them all. But he's also a piece of shit Yahtzee player, and not the kind that with the dice, the kind with the patch, and the kinds with ovens involved. Well, he said after the Democratic primary yesterday that in New York City is the clearest warning yet of what happens to a society when it fails to control migration. It is so astonishing to watch these people. It just astonishes me to watch these people say the quiet parts out loud in ways they think you don't even notice the quiet parts. Yeah, that post right there is Stephen Miller, and that's what he had to say. And already the attacks of anti-Semitism have started. Man hasn't even opened his mouth yet, and it's like, does anybody else understand how people use anti-Semitism incorrectly? Because technically Arabs are Semites also. So you and these I only say this, and I tell people the difference, and people say, well, everyone talks about people and that, yeah, but they talk about him in ways that highlight his Muslim heritage, and that makes him anti-Semitic because he's a Muslim. And like I said, does anybody ever? I want you to go look up the word Semite and look who Semites are. They're not just Israelis. The Israelis are not the only Semites. This whole region, Arabs in that region are Semitic also. What's up? What's up, Runt? I see you. So when I hear people talk about, these, then I'll be like, oh my goodness, tell me you don't know what you're talking about without telling me you don't know what you're talking about. Because you don't know what you're talking about. But let the racist games begin. And then I say, my criticism of white liberals in the Democratic Party is still the same. It's like they're so passive and they're aggressive because they are passive aggressive, but they're not, instead of them coming out and support. But see, this is the same thing that why they rallied against Bernie Sanders in 2020. The same reason. Bernie Sanders was on his way to cruising towards winning the nomination for president of the United States, but they kept throwing up, oh, he's a democratic socialist, and don't even know what the two terms mean, obviously. He's a democratic socialist. Like, we don't have socialism in this democratic society we live in. But of course, that was enough otherism. And to watch people like James Clyburn get behind a man who sexually assaulted a woman, it's the hypocrisy of watching the Democrats back Andrew Cuomo while talking about Donald Trump is astounding. It is astounding. Astounding, not in a good way. Astounding in the way that you all really don't care. You really don't care. What's up, Envy? Greetings, salutations. When's the date? Am I gonna get an invitation to this wedding? I need wedding invitations. I need wedding invitations. I need a reason to go get motivated to go get a beard trim, get my nails done, and show up somewhere. I got this outfit. I've been looking for somewhere to wear it to. It, I'll try not to upstage the groom. No, I won't. No, I won't. I'm gonna find out what the groom is wearing and wear something. He just, yeah. Even I'm gonna be fly though. The groom gonna be restricted to a tux or something. I have 3 years before my 3 years. 3 years. What do you mean 3 years? 3 years. Listen, I'm gonna have to call you. No, I'm gonna have to call him. Yeah, send me his number. What's that? 3 years. 3 years. Hey, I gotta. Nah, I'm on my way this outfit somewhere in the next couple of months. Y'all need to have a pre-wedding or something. The pre-wedding. Y'all just. Yeah, we need a pre-wedding. Uh, but anyway, so while we're gonna work on that. 3 years. 3 years. What the hell? Insurance policies need to be signed and everything needs to be dotted on the front line. 3 years. Medical conditions could come up in 3 years. Anyway, uh, anyway, so this is the racism that has already started that you see. This is the idealism of the reality of the situation. That racism, and I told you all this on election night when we looked at that map, and I said, racism is and sin is not a word I just throw around casually because I don't believe in biblical sin. I'm not talking about sin. So, but it's the only way I can get people to understand that this country's original problem, its original moral fallacy, is the enslavement of black and brown people, the um, um, genocide afforded and used against the original inhabitants of this land. And this country has never made amends for it, never apologized for it, continues to profit off of it. And anytime you bring it up, they act like you're the problem. That is the original transgression of this country. And as long as that transgression exists, we are always going to be fighting and struggling. In South Africa, one thing South Africa did, they had truth and reconciliation after apartheid was ended. They had truth and reconciliation. But see, the thing about we can never have truth and reconciliation is because enslavement and fighting just changed forms. It never got to the point where it ended. It has never ended. So we get to that point. And this is why white fragility comes in, and they'd be like, "Oh, that I didn't have anything to do with that. That was hundreds of years ago. It was." I was born in 1967. Guess what? It still existed in 1967. Jim Crow. Jim Crow. Guess what? Redlining still exists today, and he's always there so quick to talk about we didn't have anything to do with it, but you're fine with living with the consequences that benefit you. You're fine with living with those consequences, but you're going, oh, I didn't have anything to do with it. Oh no, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Your grandparents' wealth was built because of the enslavement of people and the oppression of people in this country. Yes, and it's still today. Listen, still today. That's why I'm laughing about all these deportation principles and policies you all want to come up with, because there's always these gaps in that when it comes to, yeah, I don't want you to deport my favorite migrant because she cleans my house, or not my favorite. When I see people fighting for migrants, I always say, when I say the personal level, I say you're not fighting for all migrants. You're fighting for your favorite immigrant that's cleaning your house, that works your fields. Yeah, you're just fighting for your right to exploit somebody that has no recourse against your exploitation. When I heard Donald Trump, and he walked it back, of course, when he first talked about we're going to make exceptions for hotel, restaurant, and farming, I was like, so you're making exceptions for people that are working in industries that pay them less than a minimum wage because they can't even argue about it, or you threaten to deport them. Yeah, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Uncle Phil is here and on time. Yeah, I changed it. I think I changed it. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know. I forgot what I changed it to. What did I change it to? What did I change Uncle Phil to? I think it was. I know I changed it. I changed it something I saw I liked, but I changed Uncle Phil. Yeah, when you look, I changed Uncle Phil. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we have never. I thought it was a great picture. Yeah, it's like, is that how my face not that chubby? Yeah, my face not that chubby. Um, I thought the idea that when I look at the hypocrisy associated with it, like I say, this country's original transgression, they have never faced head on. They have never faced head on. They run from that transgression. They act like we're the problem when we even talk about it. Whenever we mention it, we're the problem. And until such time as that transgression is addressed, that transition will never go away. It will never go away. Um, and we have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that, and people don't. The kid from yeah, that's right. I said Riley. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just right. The Boondocks. Yes, I changed. I was like, I was either gonna be yeah, yeah, Riley's brother. Riley's brother. Um, yeah, that was more in accordance with my personality. So thank you, thank you. But at the end of the day, until such time as we address it, here we are. We're continuing to watch a system that continually abuses people because it can. It can. Yeah. Yeah. I changed my picture to I couldn't find anything else I liked except Riley's brother Huey. Because, that makes sense. What's up, Mr. Jones? What's up, Mr. Jones? So, did you all? I know you, Rain. I know y'all saw it. So, I want to segue into. I made a video. Made a video. Made several videos today. I felt in the mood to make some videos. I had some things I wanted to say, and I was talking about that the only country in the world to ever drop a nuclear device, two nuclear devices actually, on any other country, is the United States. The only country that ever has is the United States. And they dropped them on Japan. And I stated emphatically why it wasn't necessary to do that. But I also told you all the reason I knew that we were going to bomb Iran with the Moab or the MOP was because we never used it in combat. And the United States has a thing against creating weapons of mass destruction and not using them. So we knew this was an opportunity for them to use them, and I'm sure enough they did. Your comment got removed. What was your comment? Text it to me. Yeah, I'm curious. What was your comment? So people come into my comment section because they don't listen to what I say. Or it goes back to I tell you all, you see a black man talking about something, and you automatically assume he doesn't have all the facts and doesn't know what he's talking about. Like I talk about things before I know what I'm talking about, and these things are things I knew when I was in my 20s, and that's why I laugh at people. And they come to me to this whole word, well, the United States had to drop them. Number one, I didn't say if the United States had to, but I'm prepared to address that question. I said the United States was the only country while we're telling other people about their nuclear programs that took their nuclear program, the Manhattan Project, created a bomb, and then dropped that bomb on two cities in the foreign country. That was the gist of my video. But, people stumble into my video because, well, you're leaving out things. What did I leave out? With the United States is the only country that has dropped a bomb. Literally, the United States is the only country that has dropped nuclear devices on another country. Please tell me. Jay, are you in here? When you asked us for a name, I typed Google is free. Are you in my live? Are you in my live? Is Jay in here? Because he texted me something I just said. And I'm trying to figure. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you in my live. Yeah, I'm talking about him. Yeah. Not little Jay. Not nephew Jay, brother Jay. Brother Jay. Is brother Jay in here? Yeah. But so I made the video and of course, oh okay. And so I made the video and I said, so I'm gonna let you see the video. I'm gonna let you see the original video I made. Once I was 7 years old. This is the original video. Real quick, this is just your daily reminder that while people are running around here talking about Iran developing a nuclear program to use against Israel, that the only country to ever have a nuclear program that led to the development of a nuclear bomb that was in turn dropped on another country was conducted by the United States, and it was called the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project led to the creation of two nuclear bombs, and those nuclear bombs were in turn dropped by the United States onto Japan. August the 6th and August the 9th of 1945, the United States dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing almost 100,000 people in the process. So maybe the moral high ground to determining what a country does with its nuclear program does not belong to the United States. And I said what I said. Y'all have the day you deserve. Continue with your conversations now. Now, so you all heard that, right? You heard what I said. Now, I want to go. Well, I could just play the other video. See if any new comments were in here, because there was one. Here it is. So Maximus here says, are you arguing that dropping the bomb was unjustified, unmoral, and therefore the United States cannot speak out as moral authority on developing and using nuclear weapons? Yes. Yes. I say yes. That's short answer. That's short answer. So we got advocates, and then I got a guy who won't let me tag him. He says, because can y'all read this? He says, true, but shit got real and wrapped up shortly afterwards. We don't have to worry about Japan or Germany. It'd be nice if 100,000 people didn't have to die for it. You got that? So, and I guess him and Abacus are in the comment section, and they're like, yes, but allies had already agreed at Yalta. Yalta is the conference that took place prior to the bombing of Japan by the Allied powers. And then so Country Snowman says, yes, that's why war is hell. You have people who think they're doing the right thing with the people who do whatever it takes with all the toppings the buffet offers. Seems like everyone in history does this, not justifying any of it. As you attempted to justify some of it, right? What's up, Robert? So, y'all see this, right? So, let's go. Video. So, welcome to a new series. I haven't thought
Need a
of
name for this series. What's up, Robert?
Maybe you all could help me think of a title for it. I was going to call it TNathan addresses stupid people in his comment section that have no grip of history except the whitewash history they've been fed all their life. But I thought that was a little long. So whatever you all come up with, Let me know in the comment section. Now, as the comment says, let's get it. And you can refer back to this comment to understand what video I'm talking about. Because I just posted a video talking about the United States was the first country and only country to drop two nuclear devices on another country. And people took to my comment section to show me how much they don't know about this country's history. So Michael here says in my comment section on said video, so you would prefer millions to die. I'm trying to kill a lot of birds with one stone, so you all just buckle up.
With me.
And
Gotta
then
get a lot of them
Maximus
now.
says, are you arguing that dropping the bombs was not justified, and therefore the United States cannot criticize developing nuclear bombs
Jay,
because
stop
of
it.
that? Yes, short answer, but I got you still. Stick with me. And in true, anytime you use but in a sentence, it invalidates everything before but. Country Snowman says the following. True, but shit got real and wrapped up shortly after. We don't have to worry about Japan or Germany. It'd be nice if 100,000 people didn't have to die for it. Wait for it. Now, Maximus comes back and
Not
says,
that
but
Jay.
information was
No
left
portion
out.
of the other Jay,
Like,
my brother
what was
Jay,
left
not the
out of the
nephew.
fact that the United States is the only country to ever drop not one, but two nuclear devices on another country? What information is left out of that? And Maximus once again comes to my comment section behind the private page that he follows me from and says, what you gotta teach me, little bro? Well,
What you gotta teach me? Y'all
let's
remember
get it.
those famed last
So,
words.
while you all think of a name for this series,
While y'all
challenge
thinking of a
accepted.
name,
Because the atomic bombing of Japan was not necessary to end World War II. And this is according to U.S. government documents. The document in question? The document in question is the United States Strategic Bombing Survey. It released originally in 1945. There was a section released in 1946. Now, after this report was published in 1945, in 1946, after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the survey experts turned their attention to, wait for it, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And let's see, what did they conclude?
and you notice, unlike people that just come into my comment section and tell me what their whitewash history version of events says, I always give source material. It was from 1946. Understand, this report was in 1946. It's actually, you can actually find the original in the Truman Library also. 1946, a couple of months afterwards. But they don't bother to read. And don't get me started what Harry Truman actually said about dropping the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
It seems clear that even without the atomic bombing attacks, air superiority over Japan could have exerted sufficient pressure to bring about unconditional surrender and obviate the need for invasion. Furthermore, it goes on to state, based on a detailed investigation of all the facts and supported by the testimony of the surviving Japanese leaders involved, it is the survey.
Stand. I'm not talking about just subjecture by people like looking at satellite pictures and finding three craters. No. You said that. And I'm talking about these people actually spoke to Japanese leaders that were in the decision making process. Because I tell people, if you really followed the history of World War II, like people said they didn't, they did. I always tell people, ask myself this: you know, the bigger threat to the United States and the European Common Union was at the time that they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Because obviously people don't remember. Well, it comes up in the video. Now I'm going to leave that part alone. I'll do an explanation on that. If Jay is in here with his Marine ass, we'll have him. I'm going to do some jabs at the Marines and when I get to Iwo Jima and Okinawa. But do you understand that the racism also showed that they chose to drop the nuclear device on Japan and not Germany? But I digress.
survey's opinion that certainly prior to December of 1945, and in all probability prior to November of 1945, Japan would have surrendered even if the atomic bomb had not been dropped, even if Russia had not entered the war, and even if no invasion had been planned or contemplated, which there were no plans to invade Japan by the United States. And for all of you all who are talking about that it would have been a costly ground invasion, you must don't remember that
Who
Russia
did
had been drawn up plans to invade Japan long
Been drawn
before
them up.
this August 8, 1945 date that Russia actually declared war on Japan. And then the next day, they
Next day
streamed
after
1
declaring war,
million Russian soldiers into Japanese occupied Manchuria in China to start their declaration of war. So this whole idea that a ground invasion of Japan would have been costly for American soldiers was made up out of whole cloth, because Truman already knew that Russia was planning to invade Japan. And he also knew he didn't want that, because he understood that if that occurred and they liberated Tokyo or Japan from its present ruler, then Japan would become an ally of Russia and not the United States. Now, I'm going to attempt to read this the way I think Michael intended it, punctuation and grammatical errors aside. But when he says the only other option to drop the atomic bomb on Japan was to invade, take into account what I just pointed out, I don't think you understand what you're talking about. It's very obvious from how you talk about the subject. Dropping the atomic bomb was not something done out of spite or hatred. It was done in order to prevent a greater loss of life, something that isn't possible now given how many nuclear weapons are in the world.
in the initial video, was that the United States is the only country in the world to drop not one but devices on a country in the history of this world, in history of the world. That's what I said. So read his statement. I read his statement, and I said I take the challenge. I take the challenge, and because everything I just said was about this challenge. And the next part, let's talk about what I do though.
It is so rich to watch hypocrites stumble onto my page with their whitewashed version of history to try to challenge me. Understand, Hiroshima, it did have a military base near it. It was the home of 300,000 civilians.
300,000
And instead of
civilians.
targeting the military base,
They didn't target the
the
military
nuclear
base.
device was detonated
Dead
above the
center.
center of the city.
The
A
center of the
city
city
with a civilian population
of
of
300,000.
300,000. And for somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, I know this much.
I know
The
this
last
much.
major Japanese offensive against U.S. troops took place during the Battle of Okinawa in April and January of 1945. And while Japanese forces sought to disrupt American
say
troops and
January?
their allies,
It's April
they
and June.
failed
I apologize.
miserably. Now, for all of you all I'm going to tag in this video, understand at this point, we're done. And you are dismissed. So this is a follow-up video.
I'm gonna leave that there. If we have time, we'll get to that. Right? We'll get to this story because I want to talk about that also. But yeah, I want you to get your little friends together. And this is why I tell you all, when y'all send me videos or you send me commentary from people or you send me things I've talked about, I'm insulted. I can do this. I can do that in my sleep. I literally can do that in my sleep. I just bring the receipts for you all's edification. I know where the receipts are. I've studied them. I literally do this all day, ever since solitary confinement when I was legit. I do this. And I tell you, and there's no point in history I can live through and I don't know what you're talking. That's why I was like, listen, people like, I was alive then? Yeah.
I still remember who was on Soul Train the first time I saw it. I digress. I digress. I was talking about the people in the audience, but the idea that these people will stumble into my comment sense. I will only send cockroach scouts on. Nope, nope. These people will stumble into my comment section and attempt to invalidate what I say. Number one, you're not even invalidating what I'm saying. You're giving your whitewashed commentary on what you think I'm saying because you don't even have the intelligence to follow what I'm actually saying. But have no fear. Have no fear. I can dismantle your commentary also on a regular basis. And I know I'm not gonna catch as many flies. Jay, Jay, why? What, get your ass over. Hold on. You wanna keep sending me stuff. Yeah, he want to keep sending me stuff. I got him. I got him. I'm not answering the phone in the morning. I'm not answering the phone. I'm gonna work out without him. You better take your ass to bed because I will ignore your phone call at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, I will. So they will stumble into your live. They will stumble into your comment section, attempt to with no listen. Did you see any one of them quote any kind of reliable sources? I wanted them to Jay's lawyer. I say he's innocent. I'm both Jay. Damn. Can I get a lawyer? Can I get a lawyer? Can I? Anybody want to be exclusively my lawyer? Because everybody seems to have a lawyer, exclusive lawyer, except me. I don't. I want to be a priority. I need a lawyer who's going to prioritize me. Yeah, all right, pirate. Pirate's my lawyer, and I'm gonna have to make you. I'm gonna have to make you a mod pirate so they can block you, so they can't mute you. Yeah, pirate's my lawyer. I got you. I got you. Yeah, pirate is being going to be elevated to mod status just so you all can't. Um, See, I got to go do it. I saw that, so I see. Pirate, don't worry, I got you. I'm going to take care of it right now. Give me a minute. I think I can do this while I'm on. I think I learned how to do this while I was on. Yeah, yeah, we going. Mm-mm. Yep. Where's Pirate at? Yep. There you go, Pirate. Dun, 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 dun. Pirate, you back? Are you here, Pirate? Is my lawyer here? Is my lawyer here? Yeah. Yeah. Let me know when my lawyer gets back. I think yeah. Pirate, my lawyer is back, and now y'all can't mute him. Yeah. He turned off comments. That's all right. Pirate can turn them back off. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Yeah, we there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all right. Yeah, I don't worry. I'm gonna go modify all y'all powers. I'm gonna go modify all y'all powers. Y'all gonna, yep. Y'all gonna be like, yeah, I can't turn the comments off. Yep, I can. I'm not gonna do it right now because it's too intricate. I don't have time. See, that's my guy. Pirate know how to turn them on, and I'm not gonna go through it because I probably will forget after the comment section, after the show. I forget to do it. Y'all make it. But I'm dead. Yeah, Pirate is my attorney, exclusively my attorney. Y'all, everybody else, yeah. I got an exclusive attorney. Yep. Now. So back to the topic. So that's what we deal with. That's the pat. Those are microaggressions that we deal with. That is rooted in people's thinking and their processing when it comes to black people. I've told you there are so many times when And it's not ego to say you're the smartest person in the room when you're all the smartest person in the room. But the narcissist, I'm not a narcissist because I don't go around tap people on the shoulder saying I'm the smartest person in the room. I just watch people act like you're not even as smart as they are. It is so funny to be in a room full of mediocre white men and they're talking about things you literally did and managed when you were 17 and 18. I'll be wanting to tell them. They be talking about the Dow and all this. I was like, can quote these things off the back of my hand if I had to, and if I was blindfolded, I don't even have to look at my hand. But they talk down to you in a manner that you just don't blame me for any mutes. I don't plan on doing any mod work. Listen, and they talk down to you, and it shows in the comment section when they come in here, and they're used to mediocre white men are used to being in other people's lives where they think and they usually are smarter than the host, and they don't like it. They don't like it when you point out the fallacy in their thinking. I used to do that, but it gets boring. It gets boring always going over the same redundant stuff. I don't understand how you all do it because it's boring. It's boring. It's counterproductive after a long time. It's like, yeah, cuss them out and keep moving it. But yeah. So that was my response. And I just make a response video and I'm really laughing at them in the response video. People ask me, "Oh, it's so good that you try to educate them." I say, "Y'all don't know me. Who do you I'm not educating them. I'm laughing at them." This is my way of laughing. I do try to educate the people who don't know that do need to know, but they're just cannon fodder. They're just cannon fodder. Tap in, family. What's up? What's up? So there's cannon fodder. Now, I wanted to mention this story that I have on the screen and this is a story I did follow up on. This young man is Legend Jenkins, and if you remember, on May the 25th, he was struck by a car and killed in Gastonia, North Carolina. And he was 7 years old, and he was with his 10-year-old brother, and they had walked to the Food Lion, and they were walking back when he was struck by a 76-year-old woman that they won't identify, and they didn't charge. But they in turn charged his parents with. I'm gonna let you watch the video so you can get everything in, and then we're gonna come back and talk about it. Okay? But I'm gonna need you to bear with me. Now, I told you all about the death of 7-year-old Legend Jenkins that occurred in May of this year, where he was struck by an SUV being driven by a 76-year-old woman. Now, in connection with his death, the 76-year-old woman who actually was driving the SUV who killed 7-year-old Legend Jenkins was not charged, but his two parents were. Yes, you heard me correctly. The woman who was actually driving the SUV who struck 7-year-old Legend was not charged, but his two parents were charged. They were charged with involuntary manslaughter and multiple counts of child abuse. And their crime that they're charged with was based on the fact that they let their 10-year-old and their 7-year-old walk from their home to the food giant grocery store and back. And they're saying because they didn't have adult supervision, that is the reason that the 76-year-old woman, who they're not identifying, so therefore I know she's white, struck and killed a 7-year-old. Now, this is a follow-up video, but I'm just going over the facts in the case before I get to the update. So, as I said, the person driving the vehicle that actually led to the death of 7-year-old Legend Jenkins has not been charged or identified. And I told you that the parents were in jail because they were arrested 2 days before Legend's funeral. More on that in a moment. Can you guess what their initial bond was? Their initial bond was $1.5 million. Now, this is a follow-up video. But before I get to the follow-up, I just want to make sure I have everybody up to speed on how we got here. Because initially, when the two parents were arrested, they were put on a bond of $1.5 million. That's right. $1.5 million apiece. And they were arrested 2 days before the funeral of their child. And they were going to be in jail at the time of the funeral, if not for the actions of City Councilwoman Cheryl Littlejohn, who arranged for the couple to go and say their goodbyes to their son under police escort, because that's the only way that they would be able to see their son before he was put in the ground. Let that sink in. Now, before we go further, I would like to go back to this map. And I would like for those of you all who have ever been 7 years old or 10 years old in your community to go to my comment section and tell me, does this sound right to you? I was 7 years old once. I was 10 years old once. I came of age in a community where our corner store was probably a little further than this food line is from this house. And at 7 years old, I went to the corner store on a regular basis. Anytime I got some money and I wanted some candy, I would tell my mother I'm going up to the corner store, and off I would go. And in the area I came up with, this street right here, Hudson, is comparable to a street named Division Street where I grew up at. And we crossed that street on a regular basis. And not to mention, we crossed that street on a regular basis going to school also. So I didn't understand how it was that they charged the parents for the death of their child for going to the corner store and back home. Not only that, but he was with his 10-year-old brother. And when I was 10, yeah, I would be all over the place on my dirt bike. Yeah, I had a dirt bike. And were we the only ones? And I think about this in the sense that I've watched children 7 to 10 years old travel across country without parents on airlines or buses. And here it is that because these children were allowed to walk to the corner store and somebody driving an SUV hits them, that somehow the parents are charged with this crime. Yeah. Let me know in the comment section if anybody else did the things I did like this at 7 and 10 years old. But let's get to the update. These two parents were sentenced in connection with felony negligent child abuse with serious injury in the death of their 7-year-old child. The father in this case, Mr. Jenkins, will be looking at 3 years of probation with 19 to 32 months in jail hanging over his head. And the mother, she will be looking at 10 to 21 months hanging over her head as she has to complete 30 months of probation. Now, both of these parents say they felt pressure to accept the deal because even though the bond was reduced to $150,000 apiece, they still didn't have that money to get out of jail. And they have 6 other children that need their parents at home. Let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts? Real. So this is a follow. All right. So there you have it. The outrage I felt when this story, right? Because not only, if you look at the story, you also look at that they brought up his criminal record from 2009. They brought about her getting a charge she got from 2011. And I was like, none of those had anything to do with children or child endangerment, child neglect. None of those charges they brought up had anything to do with that. And to look at this case and realize that they pressure, and she said that number one, the husband, the father wasn't even there. Understand that the father wasn't there. He didn't send the kids to the store. He didn't. So to watch that, it was also they put both the parents in jail, and then to to even try to justify why their bond is $1.5 million, even though they eventually lowered to $150,000, they still couldn't get out. But to initially have a bond of $1.5 million apiece, and you did not kill anyone. You did not drive. You weren't driving an SUV that was slammed into a 7-year-old. You didn't do that. And to listen to it, and I was listening, and I was like, I thought this surely. I remember getting into the case because I said this surely must not be true. This must be AI generated. When I first saw this case in May, and I saw it, I was like, no, this can't be true. Somebody, I go through my investigation, and then most of the stuff turns out to be AI generated. This was real. Gastonia, North Carolina. And this 7-year-old boy is dead, and they arrest his parents 2 days before his funeral, and then give you $1.5 million bond. And you're not responsible for driving the vehicle that murdered your child. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. All right. All right. Greetings, salutations, nephew. Nephew, the Roland walked in. All right. So understand. And this is what I'm saying. And so I got to thinking, and I was talking, and interesting nephew just walked in because I was talking to him about it today. Do you understand? And I try not to say it like this, but it comes out like this. And listen, your parenting style is your parenting style. Okay? But I also worry about the society that wants to, and don't get me wrong, it's something about, you're 7, I was all over the neighborhood. I was at 10. I was all over out the neighborhood. I remember getting my bike and just ride. The things he did say though, be home before the street lights come on. And that's when the fun started. When the street lights come on, what part of being in an interracial harassment or want them being charged? Yeah, I think that played a part in it too. But it's still the idea that they said they were pressured. Getting back to that, they were pressured because they have children at home, and she is pregnant. The wife, the girlfriend is pregnant, and the thing about it is, all their children are theirs. Whatever you say about, whatever you, I don't really care how you feel about the relationship, but all the children are theirs. I think his pullout game is non-existent, but be that as it may, they're all their children, and the idea, yes, I did say that. I said it. I said his pullout game is non-existent. So, it's borne out by the facts. So why were they charged? I don't why racism, bigotry. Um, North Carolina doesn't even have a law on the books. And remember, they took a plea deal to get out of jail so they can get home to raise their children. But they seem to be effectively taking care of the kids essentially. Yes, yes. Do you understand that? That at the end of the day, I just, and don't get me wrong, I see parents, and there's a certain fear that, yes, there's a certain kind of fear that parents have today that our parents probably had, but we were also different. I'm just telling you, I look at, we were different. I mean, we fought. It wasn't, you pull up in a white van with us if you want to. Yeah, we carried knives. I know all y'all children. We carried knives, um, bats. We carried bats. I remember having a bat on my Huffy. Yeah, I had a Huffy. I remember I had a bat on my Huffy because you never know when a baseball game might break out or you might need a weapon. I remember that. I remember that. Um, it was like, "Ooh, you want some candy, little boy?" Yeah, that's such a lame line. You want some candy? Who in the hell are you? You know how many you we don't watch all those shows. We watching shows that people didn't think we were watching, and you know you want some candy, little boy. What is that your pickup line? Listen, I I don't need no candy. Tell you what I need. I need a new Atari. Yeah, I give you a list. You gonna be like, damn, I gotta keep him alive because there's an investment in this. Yeah, I gotta keep him alive. I done invested in this a new Atari. Yeah, okay, but yeah, I make light of it in some, and I don't. Don't get me wrong. I do understand the abduction of children and all that, but most of the time, children are abducted in neighborhoods. They're abducted by one of the parents or a family member. Always remember that too, right? So when you are looking, when you're looking for zebras, you should be looking for horses. Yeah, Occam's razor. Anybody know Occam's razor? Look it up. But um, and my parents were always taking care of horses. They wasn't looking for zebras because they were like, a zebra gonna have his hand full. But yeah, it was none of those weird uncles or aunts that came around and they'd be like, oh, you just gotta watch, them. No, I remember my dad told this man one day. He says, yeah, your wife is weird, and if I catch her near my son again, you're not gonna have a wife. I'm just saying. My dad was that dad. My dad was that person. My dad was the person. He gonna tell. He not gonna just tell you. He's prepared. You might can call. And my dad reminds me of me when I'm in the comments section when I say things. I said people come at me. I don't really care. But when people go after the people I care about, is a whole different story. That's my dad. I get that from my dad. My dad, you could call him all kinds of things, and he would just like laugh at you, and as long as you didn't touch him. But the minute you threatened anything he cared about, you got to understand why he had fangs, claws, and he was built like a bear. You did. I'm sure most of the schools we walked to at a younger age were twice. Right, you saw the map. Were twice the distance, and then growing up in the South, yes, we buses. I remember the days when buses wouldn't pick you up and take you to school unless you lived over a mile and some change from the school. If you lived within a mile of the school, you walked to school. This was because I came of age before doing busing segregation too. It's like I remember 1974. I remember busing segregation. I remember when our schools were in Mississippi first became integrated, and their idea of integration was that we had to go further to school. It was called busing. They bused us to school, but still you had to walk to a bus stop that was just as far as the school you were walking to in the first place. I remember that. Linda, Linda, thank you. I saw your comment. Did you see my comment in the comment section when you told old boy basically yes? Good comment. I meant to tell you that. Good comment. I hope there is outrage in the city, and there's not. I'm gonna tell you why. Let me show you. I'm gonna tell you why there's not outrage, as it should. There's some outrage. Blow up video. There,
But I'm gonna need
but
you to
let's be
actually
realistic.
driving the SUV.
That's why there's not the outrage that it should be right there. That's why the outrage is not as it should be. You understand? That's why. That's why. It is the idea that a child is dead, a 7-year-old child is dead, and the woman who killed him is not being charged. It seems like someone is covering somebody. No, you're still missing. Ah, nope. Do you not see the pictures? Yeah. A lot of you all live in this world where you all want to rationalize things in a way that you think, no, this is it. This is it, I guess. That's the reason. What's tonight? What's tonight? Okay. It's Wednesday. All right, I gotta let him go. All right, GCPR. Blame Olivia. She reminded me what time it was. And we're out of here. See you tomorrow, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Tomorrow is Thursday already. It'll be Thursday here. And it is actually Thursday already, where you all, a lot of you all are. So we'll be here, same Wakanda Chase Station, same Black Panther time. Peace. Whatever Olivia said, it didn't take me 3 hours. I'm not home yet. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere, Jay. We're not going anywhere. I was just releasing them because I try to get. Occam's razor. Occam's razor. Exactly, Amy. A lot of people want to look for zebras when they're. Well, in this case, there are zebras, but it's just horses. It's just horses. It's not about covering for her. It's about the idea that it didn't matter who she is. The idea is that these children must be neglected. They must be. The idea that they walk into the store and everything, and you hit them. You hit these children. It's not about. This is a. This is a. You can. Let me tell you something. I've lived in a community where it didn't matter you trying to cover for somebody. Everybody knew. You couldn't cover something like this up when I was growing up. You could cover it up as far as the piece of the police not going to do anything. But the entire, I just acknowledged that I knew you wasn't home, and I just said, we're not going anywhere yet. I just said that. I hate repeating myself. Get that damn comment unpinned from my page. I do not need to see it when I just acknowledge that I know Jay is not home and I will be here until he gets home, like I am every damn night. Now, can I get back to talking about this important situation? Can I get back to that? Is that all right? Just let me know when it's all right. I think we're raising our children also in a manner that makes them. I know it's gonna get me in trouble to say it, but I think we're raising our children in a manner that they're not too soft because they are soft. We're raising them without allowing them to experience enough of the world that allows them to combat it when they're older. A lot of the weak ass men that I see today were because they were weak, they were coddled as children. A lot of the weak ass men I meet today have an entitlement coming from being coddled as children. They were, they were, and I know people find it problem. Oh, yeah, it's a balance between protecting our children and also exposing our children to enough to help them develop in a manner that they grow up to be. Um, and I hate the term productive members of society. I've always hated that term because productive members of society means somebody else is setting the standard. But I just mean able to stand alone. When I see these little boys masquerading as men that are all right, good night, Reese. When I see these little boys masquerading as men and they're crying because some woman is responsible for buying them a PlayStation 5 or Xbox or something, I look at them and I'm like, that's because you never got a lawnmower when you were a child. You never got the lawnmower to go out and earn your own damn money to buy those shoes you wanted. And it seemed okay. And they seem okay with it. They seem okay with it. When I see weak ass adults that have never developed a sense of focus or a sense of direction, I realize that that's because they've never had to develop a focus or a direction because they live in a time where everything. We want to protect them against everything and then turn them loose on everything when they turn 18. But we don't want, listen. I think my immune system was so good because, yeah, I used to play in the yard when I was younger. And I mean, I would play in the yard and with the dog. And I was 4 or 5 years old. I'm out there playing with the dog in the yard. We had a gated yard. Plus, Miss Rena was watching. But yeah, I was playing with the dog, and if I had candy and I dropped it, put that candy back in. tight. Time. I put the candy back in my mouth. Yep, I got chicken you can play with now. Nope. You remember my story of chicken? I told you that story when we were younger. But when we were younger, I told you that story about why I stopped eating chicken for a while. Yeah, yeah. I was young, and I was out there playing with the chickens, and my grandfather came out there and killed the chicken in front of me, and then was like talking about that was dinner. Yeah, I didn't eat chicken for like years after that. I would eat. I was like, that was my vegetarian period. I wouldn't eat chicken either. There's so many things I stopped eating just because of my grandfather. But it's the idea that we just are raising our children. It's like when I tell people, when I watch people and they like, well, no, I don't talk to my child about that because I want them to be a child. Who says they got to stop being a child, but you can still talk to them about racism? Who I was a child and my parents used to go to protest when I was 5 and 6 years old, and if it was a you know why I guess why I go to city council meetings and all this and participate in government, so because at a young age my parents took me to city council meetings with them because the babysitter was grandmother, and grandmother was at the city council meeting too. Yeah, those like that. Yeah, we're gonna be at city council meetings. We're going to participate in the government at a young age. But now it's like, oh, I don't want my child to know about these things because I don't want to take their childhood away. What? Where does that even come from? Where do you get that mentality? My mom was the reporter, and that's why I was at the city council meetings. Right. Where do we get these things from? And then in the process, we are raising, and like I say, I just see a bunch of uninformed people continue to blame a generation that is raised by our generation for why they're. Even though I'm just telling you, for me personally, a lot of the children I meet from the younger generation are phenomenal. I told you, the students in class, and if you want to help them out, this is the Cash App. Yeah, that wasn't a segue, but I'm gonna tell you that if you want to help, yeah, the tutored students, because class is about to get bigger. Luckily, somebody just recently sent me is gonna send me some pencils because I'm like, damn. Every time I think get supplies, counts, it's like and I'm not gonna turn them away because I'm even if they're immigrant children, I take them in because I want to help, and sometimes that's the only way I can help. Coming out our pockets, it comes out of our pockets. So if you're here and you're new here, I'm not talking about the people that are always donate, but if you're new here and you want to really help me out, this is the Cash App where you can help us out with the homeless and the students. That's all I'm asking. Um, Even the money I collect, I don't even get haircuts with the money I collect. That's why my hair looks like this. I don't get paid till 15th, so I can't get my hair cut till the 15th. Um, but that's what we see, and that's why I think with immigrant children, especially, they're just different from the way people are raising their children to be protected against anything and everything, and therefore they're not prepared to deal with things. When I talk to these children, and they're just, I told you all before, it's such an awareness. It is such an awareness of their environment and what their parents, how their parents, the concern they have for their parents' danger is so touching because they understand they can make an argument that they were born here. They're going to be a certain rights that they get, and these are 14 and 15-year-old kids that have this awareness that, and because they have it, their younger brothers and sisters have it too. That they could be the reason why their parents get deported. No child should have to carry that. But they carry that while we are not even allowing our children to carry water in a bucket. These children carry the responsibility, and they're still children. They still do the rudimentary pranks against me when they think I'm not looking. They are still children, but they carry the responsibility that in their being children, they still have to be aware. And so when I see, like I say, when I see you all having these conversations about these grown men and these women that are acting in a certain manner, and it's because they never were exposed to anything. I'm a mama's boy. Anybody tell you, anybody will tell you. T. Nathan is a mama, grandma boy. That's not to say I didn't love my dad and I respected him, and I knew that he would could have buried me at any time if I did something like some of these people do that grow up to. There were deal breakers for my dad and my mom and my grandmother. The deal breakers were anything to do with SA. Those were deal breakers for them. They were not understanding it. They did. That was one of the one thing they would pull out and say, "You, we did not raise you like this." Even the 13-year-old lifestyle, the carrying the glizzy, the Glock, all that. No, those were not. Those were survival skills. But the idea that I would have been a rapist, I wouldn't have gotten justice in a court system. My mother and grandmother would have buried me in the front yard and dared anybody to say anything about it. I say it, and people think that's extreme, but that's who they were. They had lines that were not drawn in the sand. These lines you could see a mile away. And at a young age, I learned that. And it's not for fear, it was because I understood it was the right thing to do. They didn't care. It was like fighting. My mother was, we go so far, she say, I don't care who they are. If they put their hands on you, you can, she had a breakdown. She say, for women, use the appropriate amount of strength to protect yourself, but never initiate anything. And so that's my weakness. That's my weakness. Until you really initiate something violent against me that I consider harmful, yeah, yes. I was telling somebody this the other day, and they were like, "Well, and yes, she told me if he hits you, you have the right to protect yourself, but still, you act in accordance." And I know this might not work for everybody, but I'm 6'4". It works for me. It works for me. There's a lot of times in high school, Jasmine done got mad at something I did, and she'll be at the locker, hit me on the chest, and I'll be like, "I'm sorry." She be hitting me on the chest. I don't even feel it. The more the feeling is, I wonder what my mom gonna think about this. That's what my feeling was, because I know I did something. It was like simple things, like you had to learn those lessons that she was trying to get your number, and you. I was like, well, she told me. She said you're so gullible. That's the thing. She was like, you so gullible. I was like, I was gonna tell you. It crossed my mind. It's like just things like that. I was that guy. You for believe for all my height, all my build, it was like I was Jasmine pushover. I was a pushover, and I'm good. Call me simple, whatever you want to. I was good with that, but I got that way because I watched my dad and my mom. That's who I learned from. I learned from my dad and my mom, and that's why I say they would protect me, but they would do age appropriate protection. Does that make sense? It's like as I got older, I become responsible for more and more things. And responsibility was a step training at that time, and I don't think we have that today. I don't think a lot of people have that today. That they have that teaching and instilling of responsibility in their children in a step procedure. They either don't do it or then they overdo it. They put the responsibility of man of the household on a 12-year-old. You go from 0 to 100, and just because the man your man left, a 12-year-old, it should never be told they're the man of a household. That is not the responsibility you should be putting on a 12-year-old. Even orangutans understand that you need to teach children how to do for themselves, and that's what we're okay with it. We're okay with it. Yeah, I mean, I wish I would. So, well, this is the man of the household, and I'm not. I'm looking, and she pointing down at some 12-year-old. I'm like, what? Who told him that? When did this happen? His little sack hadn't even dropped yet, and you call him the man of the household. What do you mean? What do you mean? What responsibility? How much responsibility are you putting on this 12-year-old? You're putting the responsibility of raising the rest of the children on a 12-year-old. What? Make it make sense. I was a single man of a daughter, was no man. I tell you, don't tell you. Listen. And that is the trap we wind up in ourselves with now when we see this situation. Like I said, this situation unfolded that people were saying, "Oh, you shouldn't let the 10-year old walk to the store a couple of hundred feet from home." Why not? 10-year old is a perfect responsibility age to walk in broad daylight. We're not talking about at night. And she was talking to him on the phone. That's the other part we leave out of this equation. If you don't get somewhere and sit down, what's going on out there? But my husband's 100% my daughter's father from day one. Yeah, I had to check with Pinky what was going on out there. But that's what we get to. We get to these places where it just doesn't make good sense. And then no one wants to tell them it makes good sense. That 10-year-old. Do you know I would be 10 years old? There was a stadium, a high school stadium right out the street from my house, right? And yeah, I go football nights. I'm at the stadium. I'm at the stadium, walking around on the other side. I paid my dollar because it was only $1 to get in. Y'all remember those days? Dollar to get into the stadium. We go in the stadium, watch the game. I'm really not watching the game. I'm watching people. I'm walking around, talking to everybody else who at the stadium, chilling, eating corn dogs. You know, because I was 10. I remember there were episodes in my life where there were certain age milestones I would reach and I would look forward to because my parents would tell me, hey, when you turn this age, you'll be able to do this. I'm like, really? Oh, yeah, we need to hurry up and get to that age. I remember. I remember. Don't be yelling at my client. Pinky is innocent until proven guilty. I'm going to send you a bill. I'm gonna send you Pinky's bill. That's what I'm gonna do. And since y'all think she's so innocent, yeah, yeah, yeah. Pinky is we're raising money, and it's gonna be Olivia's job to raise money to send Pinky to the Pope. Yep. So, Olivia, since you and I guarantee you're gonna have to wear a flame retardant suit to handle her, cause she gonna bite you. She gonna bite you. Yeah. So you're gonna have to be on the plane to go to Italy, to Rome, with Pinky as Pope Leo dunks her in some fresh holy water. Yep. So you can have it. Fresh holy. It gotta be fresh. All any old holy water not gonna work. The things that don't make sense is the ledge and neglect. Don't neglect the driver's action. Negate the driver's action. Right. And how you gonna charge the husband and he wasn't? I mean, the boyfriend and he wasn't even home. A lot of things about this case, and then they're in a compromising position because they have to take a plea deal to get out, to get home, to their children, the other 6 children that need them, and she pregnant. Yeah, good. I'm glad she is your client. Yeah, take your ass to Rome. Enjoy Rome while you can, because it probably gonna go up in flames the minute he puts her in that holy water. The court system is corrupt. The whole freaking thing. It is, but it's the idea that the court system is just a reflection of us. I guess that's what gets me about living in this country. And people read the Constitution, they read the Declaration of Independence, they read things, and it's the highest law in the land says, "We the people." In order to form a more perfect union, we the people, but we continue to abdicate our power to our representatives. They're not supposed to be the power. They're supposed to be the representatives of our power. But we continue to do that. And then, we continue to cry about corrupt systems, but that's all we do. That's all we do. We just continue to cry and complain about the corrupt system. And I was telling someone that, I said, do you understand if somebody would have hit my child and the system would have incarcerated me instead of the person that hit them, I would make law-abiding citizen look like a picnic. No, can't say a picnic. That might be a little harsh. A day at the park with the checkered covered flag. Sure. There's a reason I say that. And if you know, you know. Yeah, the checkered colored tablecloth on the ground. Yeah, on a beautiful day. That's what law abiding citizen would look like if you hit my 7-year old child, killed them, and nobody act like you were responsible. If you tried to teach them to navigate the courts, they think it's boring. Yeah, yes, and many are very disappointingly late. And listen, speaking of disappointingly late, look who's look who's woke. Ah, hey, hey, you, hey, hey. She's eating. She's more. She's eating more. So I feel good about that. I feel good about that. And this is the thing. We have to get to the point. I used to do a know your rights class. Yeah, we done a Petra. Petra, you remember the know your rights class? It's Petra and I have. People don't realize I do. I have an active background in law. I worked at a law firm. Petra worked at the. We worked. That's how we met. Petra and I met because we both worked at the same law firm. I was a campaign manager for her boss. I became the campaign manager for her boss. Tell people make up stuff they did. I never have to make up stuff I did. This is stuff I've actually done. I've ran campaigns before. I've done opposition research. I've done investigations on clients. All of that. We've done all that before. So Petra and I met. I worked at the same law firm, and this is Petra and I could have actually been better lawyers than, but we're going to keep that to ourselves. Petra and I were actually better lawyers than the person than any other lawyer in the office, except the head lawyer. She was good. The head lawyer, no matter what we feel about her, she had her moments. She was good. But trying to discuss a burden of evidence to people is irritating because they think you're. Oh, speaking of that, let me put some people's perspective in order, right? Because I see these videos about people talking about the charges that have been dismissed against Sean Combs and how how that affects it. Let me break this down for you all so you can explain it to people who don't understand law. Like what happened to my cousin. She was murdered and it took a whole year to catch the piece of shit. Right. It's like it's always a long time to catch our killers, but you have a suspect of theirs, and yeah, yeah, where they got dismissed or dropped, I have no idea. Hey, and then the thing you think about it, because like I said, I've read the transcript. I've read the transcripts of every day of trial, and so I've been following just in the background. Now, I will say personally, I don't think they met a lot of their burdens of proof. I don't. But they didn't dismiss any true charges. They dismissed the some of the precursors to some of the charge, like Kid Cudi. They dismissed the arson charge under the racketeering because once you hear the testimony in open court and you heard it and you got it, it was like you really can't say Sean Combs had anything to do with it under legal evidence, under the weight of evidence. Another thing people don't understand: just because you say something does not meet the burden of proof of evidence of a state. So they dismissed the arson charge. They couldn't prove it. You don't have Sean Combs. Nobody's actually putting his hand on the cocktail, on the Montauk cocktail that is thrown in the car. You can't. It didn't make any sense that you said he was at your house and he didn't. How did he get in your house? We never understood that. How did he move cameras to keep him being seen? Then we're not talking about somebody with a ring door cam. Kid Cudi is a multi-millionaire rapper. So how did you get into the home? You were dating Cassie at the time. So I digress. Then they dismissed the charge of Capricorn Clark when she said that Diddy kidnapped her and held her against her will. You're saying he did that, but then you're saying you got to the residency, he left you in the car with the keys by yourself, and somehow not only did you not flee, but you came to work the next day. They didn't make sense. I think some of us have talked about the things I've talked about, recaps of the trial that just didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense. It's like, how are you charging that is conspiracy to kidnap or attempted arson when this is the weight of your evidence? So they changed the theory of the conspiracy to committing right. So when they drop charges, and that's another thing. It's the theory, the prosecution theory of the case. Another thing people don't look into. The prosecution has a theory of the case, especially when dealing with RICO charges, and they just weeding out the things they feel like they didn't prove. Now, technically, I think they should weed out a lot more, but I still think this case, and don't get me wrong, I would throw Sean Combs into an active volcano if given the chance. But I still think they're depending on him being a piece of shit to validate the jury finding him guilty of some of the things they want the state, the feds, to find him guilty of. Because, you haven't proven to me Sean Combs exchanged any money with any of the people involved for trafficking across state lines for the purpose of SA workers. No, well, S workers, not SA workers, X workers, S workers. And then can we talk about how anticlimactic it was when we found out what freak offs were? Can we talk about it? Can we now talk about how anticlimactic when we found out? And I didn't see all these people that were making the jokes about all these stars and all these people were going to come out, and then you find out that freak offs were actually just Cassie or some other woman engaged in a intimate is the wrong word. I don't want to say that word, but basically, with male escorts and then rubbing it on Sean Combs. Did anybody find that anticlimactic to what people was going to say was going to be free? Fun fact: Pinker will be the next president. Working Annabella is out to take the. Anyway, did anybody? I overestimated the defense. They really flopped today. Tell you, I didn't overestimate the defense because who are you gonna put on? They didn't want to draw any more attention to Sean Combs, so I knew he wasn't gonna take the stand. You really don't want to, and you really didn't want to draw witnesses to any of the things that they wind up dropping either, because then it's like it's kind of catch 22. You say that Sean Combs was involved in a conspiracy with people you gave immunity to, and then you want him to call witnesses to prove that he wasn't involved in a conspiracy with the people that you gave immunity to. It's convoluted, and like I said, I don't. From reading the transcripts and reading, especially when you eliminate Capricorn Clark's testimony, what do we really have? We have that yes, he paid $100,000 for a videotape of him beating Cassie in a hotel. We did. We proved that. We should have. You should have charged the security guard that sold him the tape for $100,000. But that was a direct. That doesn't really prove conspiracy to commit RICO. That just says that he bought the tape that showed him doing something illegal to Cassie that she didn't press charges on, and that he didn't have to give the $100,000 back. Can we talk about the court order stuff? The court orders. I'm not sure how I feel about the court order. What are we talking about tonight? Right now, I'm just going over. We're going over what happened in the Sean Combs case as far as people spreading misinformation. I would have focused more on the other actors to draw doubt on the RICO aspect. Right, I see what you mean, but who would you call as a witness? And because defense prosecution gets to give immunity, defense doesn't. So I don't even see who was gonna take the stand. You're gonna be treated. I'm a hostile witness. Well, I'm not. I might lie. I might lie. I might take the fifth. I might take the fifth up here. And if you take the fifth up there, that's going to look bad. That you look like the defense called you and you're taking the fifth. So there's something you don't want to testify to. So the error of that makes it look bad. Should have called Johnson and Johnson to stay. Listen, it wasn't even baby oil. It wasn't. It wasn't Johnson and Johnson baby oil. So they're not even getting a cut of it. But like I said, you all remember. I think about all the lead up to this case, and like I said, don't ever get it twisted. Sean Combs is a piece of shit. I believe he was complicit in the murder of Biggie Smalls. Since I met Biggie Smalls' mother, I do. I believe she does, and that's a mother, so I'm good. She believes he was complicit in the death of Biggie Smalls. So I think he's a whole piece of shit. Do I believe the state met the burden that they set for themselves? They set a high burden. They set a high burden. Rico, as somebody who hung out with friends who got Rico charges, um, yeah, that's a high burden. That is a high burden, and I just don't think they proved. They went into it, where all this talk, Jay Z and Beyonce and all the these black people that want to see other black people fall, and they was like, oh, everybody's gonna be at the free call. No, we know who was at the free calls now. None of the people, and I know people were like getting on me, and they was like, "Oh, it's gonna come out this and this." I said, "No, it's not." I said, "No, it's not," and it hasn't. All that came out is we know exactly what a freak off is. I still don't know why there was so much baby oil, lube associated with it. But hey, to each his own. I remember, male escorts male escorts. And think about that for a moment. Male escorts. Not a bunch of stars or celebrities, not a bunch of other women. It's usually whoever Sean Combs was in a Miami, Young Miami, and Cassie. And I'm gonna tell you what. I know who I don't believe participated in any freak offs. That's Kim Porter. After watching this trial and seeing and hearing people talk about who Kim was, I know that Kim Porter never participated in a freak off, and maybe um, that's why she's the mother of the children. Yeah, it was more of him having fantasies and using criminal means. Yes, exactly. Believing, not proving, two different things. Right, Amy. A lot of things, and we could actually believe things that are true. That doesn't mean you prove the burden of them. We're just talking about in this case. So I look up to the humidor that was full of baby oil. It's 5,000. Sounds like solicitation more than anything. And right, and it's like, and then we find out, but nothing involved children. Let's not just rush past that either. There was nothing that any testimony elicited that ever pointed to minors. Let that sink in. Like I say, I think he's a whole piece of trash. But, we were sold a bill of goods on what they were going to prove. Right. Doesn't change the law. We were sold a bill of goods on what they were going to. I'm going to say this. If this is what this defense. Now, don't get me wrong. He could be found guilty and spend 80 years in prison. That is a possibility. Closing arguments are today. Is it Thursday yet? Or Thursday and Friday. Closing arguments start. So he could still be found guilty and given 80 years or the rest of his life in prison. That is a possibility. But I also understand now why he didn't run. I understand. I think I understand why he didn't run because if the things I was listening at the things that were being said at first, and I was like, I got a jet and billions of dollars. I'm out of here. But I understand now why he didn't. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this is damaging. I don't even know if a lot of this is damaging to his reputation, as more so as maybe for him liberating. I like this, and now I don't have to hide liking this. I don't know. May I just look at everything in service? I could have built a better case as a prosecution, saying that he used his business enterprises and his influence to hide his proclivities. I would have that would have been a better argument to me. Then we get all this other external stuff. Because now I'm gonna tell you this: the gun charges, yeah, he filed the no, yeah, gun charges. I see those, but they didn't talk about them a lot. They that was a that you got guns in your home that have been the serial numbers have been filed off of. That should have been a major case point, but they didn't. They just mentioned it in passing. I have to say it, but I think we could probably run a successful defense. Yeah, if I would have cared. But see, the thing about me is that if I think you're guilty of something heinous, I'm not defending you. If you're guilty of something heinous, I'm not defending you. But then my idea of heinous might be different than other people. Um, yeah, if you, because y'all know how I feel, I will. You know what I did when I was 16. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't. Allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly. But hey, that, now if your justifications matter to me, why you do things. Yes, if your justification is something I can believe in, like, hey, they were they had been assaulting in a S way my best friend, and I found out, and I took matters into my own hand because it didn't seem like a system cared. Yeah, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna lie for you. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna create witnesses for you. I'm gonna help you get off. You probably won't even take that. I can do a preponderance of the law to do that. But if you just tell me, hey, I did it just because I couldn't defend anybody that I knew knowingly. Like I said, my parents about the saying the line, I couldn't defend somebody that knowingly engaged in that act. And I could think of a great a great defense. I won't. I won't. I can put on my Johnny Cochran hat if I need to. Yeah, but and like I say, I can defend certain things, but there's certain things if I know you did it, I'm not defending it. If I can't, that's why I don't think I could have been a great lawyer because I bring certain things to the table. I could be a lawyer that lives in a gray area. Don't get me wrong. If you know me, you know I gray is a color. It's one of my favorite colors. But there are certain things that are black and white with me, and there are few, but those they're very I'm very adamant about. So there is that. We've been trying to get him to remember the word allegedly for 5 years. Told you on the 16-year-old on the six when I what I did when I was 16, I don't have to remember allegedly. It's like it's nothing they can do now. We've come to grips with it, and yep, they allegedly come to grips with it. I didn't have. I'm gonna tell you. I also realize I do not have the mental capacity to have mental issues. I realize that people be talking about how they would feel. Oh, if I did, I would eat some. I would eat some Doritos and go to sleep. And I mean that. I can prove it. I would eat some Doritos and go to sleep and drink some lemonade because I don't do things unless I feel they're warranted. I'm not the kind of person. I don't have the doubts associated with my actions that other people have because they don't know if what they're doing is for the right reasons. I don't know. If I do something, I believe it's for the right reason. Now, if I do something, and this hasn't happened, I haven't done anything extreme in life and then go back and find out that I was wrong about that extreme. Because if I have any doubts about it, I might just beat you up. You can live through a beating up. But if I pull a weapon on you and use it, in that moment, I am 100% sure of why I'm doing it. I am 100% sure why I'm doing it. I don't have any regrets or anything. I've already processed why I'm doing it, and I'm doing it in that reality. It's like I couldn't understand people who have joined the military and then they'll do something and they be like, um, and I understand. Understand. I am not mitigating those people. I'm just telling you all about me in that aspect. Um, I understand other people, and I think it just falls back to the fact that how my parents did not pass on generational trauma to start with. They didn't. I remember when I did start in the game, my dad was like, he always told me, he said, make sure whatever you do, you can live with it. And the things I couldn't live with, I would be more broke up about watching my mother cry about something I did than anything. I never want my mother to cry. I remember one day she was fake crying and I was panicking. And I was like, what? She said, boy, I'm just playing. I was like, don't do that to me. I could not stand to see my mother cry or my grandmother. I couldn't stand it. It was like, that was it for me. That was like, question everything in life I've ever done to that point. That was my thing. Just don't cry. Don't cry. Yeah, don't make my mama cry. Don't make my mama cry. I told you I was a mama's boy. Yep. My dad, if you do something to hurt him, my thing is, I don't know if I can protect you from that man. That man is, whew. Oh, I can't. I don't know what to tell y'all. you, you might want to get out the way because I'm getting out the way. That was the one man in life that I never, even when he was older, before he died, I never. It was like I didn't want to ever get in a physical altercation with him. I never did. I was like, this man, if he gets to that point that he is going to get in a physical altercation with you, you are going to be worse for wear. I told you these cornbread fed Negroes from the South, yeah, that grew up lifting tree trunks. Yeah, you don't want that problem. When it comes to family, I have zero to me too. So crying is the answer. Got it? Yeah, crying is the answer. Crying is the answer. People will tell you, my friends cry. I'm like, what's wrong? It stops everything because it's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I will solve it. Uh, but to remember, crying is also not a good idea. If I tell my friends all the time, I tell them, don't tell me something and just want to vent. I'm not good at just venting too. When you tell me something, I think there's a problem to be solved. If you're, especially if you're crying or you're sad or you're upset about it, that means what do I need to? Because I'm the friend that you tell you, what do I need to hit, shoot, or stab? That's the friend. Don't tell me something. Well, I'm just telling you. Listen, listen. Sandra will tell you. Sandra will tell you. I just told him this because I wanted to vent. The next thing I know, my abuser was in the trunk of his car with 2 bullet wounds. She just told me to vent. She was my best friend at the time. She told me to vent. I told Jasmine, and I told her what I was going to do. And by the time she got back to Sandra, it was already in the trunk of my car. I don't know. Listen, don't tell me things and just want to vent. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy you tell me stuff because you want solutions or you it's out of your hand. Once you tell me the problem is out of your hands now. This is why I don't have a lot of people in my inner circle because I feel that way about all the people in my inner circle. They know. They like, oh, if we take it to TNathan, goodness. But by the same token, if I find out and you didn't take it to me, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna say, oh, I could have been solved this problem. What's up, Nancy? I say I could have been solved this problem, but I understand. That's how it is, and I take that to if y'all hear screaming in the background, it's just the TV. People get mad. I offer right. I offer solutions. People will have to tell me, "Oh, I'm just you venting about your boss. We can solve that problem. What's his address? What? No. What time he get to work? What time he gets to work? I have threatened friends of my daughter. I'd say if my daughter come and tell me anything else about this situation, right? We're gonna have a bad misunderstanding. Yep. I don't know. I don't understand. People tell me this is strange behavior. I be like, really? It's strange. I This is strange behavior. I thought this was the behavior of. I tell you all, stop listening to people who are not the strong friend tell you what the strong friend thinks and how they act. Because a lot of you all are messed up because you all have friends that are not the strong friend that just pretend to be the strong friend. And then when you run into a strong friend, you be like, no, you're overreacting. Overreacting? Didn't you come to me crying? You came to me crying. You think I am mentally balanced enough to handle you crying and just like it'll be all right. They won't do it again. I know they won't do it again. They won't do it again. I can promise you that. Tapping out. Have a good night. All right, we're gonna talk about Ironheart some more. I'll call you later. All right, it's 55 of y'all in here. Let's see if so 50. I know like 20 of you all. One, two, three. Actually, only about 10 of you all have hit this cash app up in the last month. $5, $10, whatever you want to give, hit it up. Hit it up. If y'all can come up with $396,000 for a bus you all never seen and a garden that doesn't exist, um, I know you can come up with $5, $10 to support what we actually do that you get to see. Uh, yes, Olivia Ironheart is out. Do you want to see him? I got the first three episodes. You want to watch them? If anybody who doesn't have Disney Plus and y'all want to watch Ironheart, let me know. I'll set it up. We'll watch Ironheart. Have you raised money for a bus you never seen or had? Not yet, but I'm listen. I'm thinking this way. Either we can get. I'm probably gonna have to do live with some of you all with some breastises, and we're gonna raise money that way because it's got to be a secret I'm missing. It's got to be something I'm missing. Yeah, yeah. So you know we're gonna have. I want to watch. I'm just saying, there's got to be something we missing. So if that's the case, y'all can invest in my education fan. It's got to be something we missing because I be listening to people and this individual had a live, and they said if I get $100 in my cash app, I will do. And I was like, what? Y'all doing it like that? And sure enough, she raised $100 in her live to bring, and they were just gossiping. They were just gossip to bring somebody up to tell a piece of gossip on another person. I was like, are we for real? You don't be stroking egos. That's why I know. What's up, Robert? You want to watch? Have you watched Ironheart, Robert? You want to watch Ironheart? We'll watch. I usually don't like watching shows like that until all the episodes come out because I hate cliffhangers. I don't want to be. I was like, yeah, I want to watch everything at once. I'm all for series that drop all their episodes at once. Uh, the burden of having integrity. Yeah, that's all. And when people be talking about, oh, we holding alive and we have $50 to drop somebody, I'd be like, I will drop you for free. say, say, oh, I just think that it's the reason why I don't do advertisement for just anything. I try like there's some things that Bella likes that I'm good with, but in general, I feel like I don't want to do. Some of it seems cheesy. Something like if it's something like Black Sands or something like something I'll do or something like that, I'm fine with it. But just some random item that I be watching and people be doing, I'll be like, yeah, no, no. The movement's integrity is bigger than that. Yeah, I don't do that on my other page for my puppers. Yeah, and this thing, and then I'm scared to do something like that because if I order something, give it to Bella, and she don't play with it. What am I supposed to do then? I'm supposed to come on here and lie about it? No, she don't like it. Start a TikTok for Bella and do Bella lives. Listen, when Bella get an opposable thumb, see, I don't have the time to run a Bella live. If Bella had an opposable thumb, I'd give her a phone and she can run her own lives. But I can't. I don't have the time. This is all I have the time for. When you all see me, it's because I have the time. The middle of the day, who got the time for that unless I'm off? I know. What is the point of a dog channel live? Right. Enlist the circumstances to help make it. See, then I'm gonna be in prison. Cause yeah, see, I'll be in prison then because the crumb snatchers want to be on live so bad, and then and if it wasn't for me, and this is one of the things, if it wasn't for me, I would let them have their own TikTok if it wasn't for me. If it wasn't for the idea that I think one of my stalkers would stalk them through the TikTok, because this has happened. People have stalked, try. If it wasn't for the things I do and I know how I would. If it was just like regular videos, I'd bring them on live every now and then and let them say hello with their faces out. But I know that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good. Let Pinky run a live stream podcast. Yeah, Pinky Pinky's gonna run a live stream podcast and start a cult. Pinky gonna have a cult. Yep, that's her. A cult. As long as y'all bring her food, she's happy. That's what she gonna require. The cult of Pinky, the cult of food. Yep, that's it. All right, y'all. What time is it? It is 11:51. Thank you all for joining. Let me get out of here. Hey, YouTube, we out of here. Peace. Oh, peace. I can't even.